Hey, everybody, welcome to the Tech-Mex Podcast. We're your hosts, Eric and Mando. This is episode 97, number 97, and we're bringing you the top stories of Bitcoin tech and wealth so you can stack Bitcoin and gold before they both move. Dale.
Nice. I do like gold, man. So
Bitcoin, digital gold.
both, I have in my portfolio both, right? So, quick thing, interesting. If you read a book that is called The Richest Man of Babylon, in that book they give you an strategy that has, in theory, been like for a couple thousand years, and actually sometimes the Jews follow kind of that strategy. It's 30%, 33% real estate, 33% business, and the rest is gold. For us, Maxis, that is converting into.
The percentages are getting a little skewed
I
nowadays,
guess, I
right?
guess. But yeah, tell me, what is the headline? Why gold?
All right. So there's been a couple of things starting to leak out. So recently, um, one of Putin in Russia, one of their top financial advisors was giving a talk over at one of these Eastern economic forums, and they were talking about, hey, in case you guys didn't know, the U.S. is working on this secret plan to try and get rid of their $35 trillion debt. Right, we're at like $37 trillion debt, and we've mentioned this before on several of our podcasts. And even so, like how when Elon was involved with Doge, right, the Department of Government Efficiency, they were trying to tackle this debt just because it's such a big thing for the U.S. Like we're even making what 10, 11 trillion dollar yearly payments just on the interest. We're trying to figure out how to dig ourselves out of this hole. So that's been part of like this administration's kind of big thing right now. We're trying to figure out. Doge didn't end up working, so we're moving on to this other thing. So this Russian person, the Russian financial analyst, was talking about what the US's plans were, and we'll jump into that. But I want to give a little bit of background for the folks that aren't aware of all the things that kind of are going on.
It's a very interesting to me. This guy seems like the Russian Dave Ramsey.
You got to pay off all your debt, right?
You got to pay your debt, right?
Like,
So it's a tricky one though, because uh, I feel that it's kind of just your typical finances, like in microeconomy, like your own family. You have to be able to know how much you are making, your budget, right, your debt. So I think that they're trying to do the same, right? But it's quite interesting that other countries doing it for us. So like, why we are not aware of this? Meaning, like, why they don't make it in a very digestible words. They have papers and they have a bunch of meetings, yes, but I feel that maybe, and probably the reason might be that it impacts the whole planet, right? Like whatever policy is actually official, it affects the stock market, it affects all of the economy, global economy. So, but this is interesting. So, I remember even our previous pod, 37 trillions on the debt. Also, I remember that in one of the podcasts we did, we had the reserves when the news was coming out that Trump and Elon, they were trying to go to see the how much gold there was there. They didn't come back, or it was the news was like a fizzle away how much actually gold there is. So, and also they said that they were evaluating the gold in $42. Is this tied to that?
Yeah. So apparently, like we've been hearing bits and pieces of different things. Not like we in the US, we haven't heard like this big, large, formal plan about what we're going to do. And I think maybe that's why kind of Russia kind of did it. They're trying to let the cat out of the bag. In a lot of ways, I feel like because in our current administration, there's a lot of business tied into with the politics, they almost like want to set themselves up first before they tell everybody what they're doing, even though there's been bits and pieces that have been leaked out. But let's set the stage a little bit. Like, so we have mentioned before, we've got $37 trillion in debt. You know, that's basically and it's climbing, right? And it's climbing by $1 trillion like every 100 days. So 3 trillion, at least 3 trillion a year that is going to coming up, and that's just because of interest payments and things like that. So the thing is, there's only so much revenue that the U.S. can take in a year, right, through taxes and stuff like that. There's some other things that the current administration is trying to do as well, like with the tariffs, and try to make some money to be able to pay all of that. But right now, we're seeing that even like up to 75, 76% of all of the income tax revenue is going is just going to pay down the interest. So, this is this kind of the situation that we're in. And again, we've known kind of that this is an issue, right? Again, that's the whole point of having Doge, and Elon trying to, cut costs essentially. What he's basically known to do in his companies, try to cut costs, try and get down with the minimum, right? We're trying to do the same thing with the government. Didn't quite work the way we had planned, but it's still a big issue that we're trying to do. So one of the things they want to look at gold. So, like you mentioned in one of the previous podcasts, we talked about, hey, we've got a bunch of gold, right? How much gold did we have in our treasury?
261, I was looking at million troy ounces of gold. So, and they are valued in 42.22. So, I'm trying to figure out right now what is the price of gold as we are recording. Let's see. It
We're
is,
probably in the 3,000 range, I think, right?
yeah.
It's been
So
fluctuating a little bit. It's been going up.
it is been going up, right? So, but let's say that if they evaluate it on about close to 3,000, which I think that is low for the prices right now, it still doesn't get us out of the hole.
No, I mean, it's good for a few trillion, I'm sure. And sure, it'll help, but that's maybe like, I don't know, half a year's worth of interest payments that we have to make. It's something, but it's, you're not really stopping the bleeding there. That's really a band-aid on top of a
It is a
gunshot wound.
10%, basically. If it's like almost 3 trillion just to do in back of the napkin calculations,
Hmm.
that means that we will have to put the ounce price in 35,000, 34,000 to actually be able to kind of erase the debt.
Yeah, that's true. So, I mean, I guess that is an option. Like we can I guess we can arbitrarily set like what the price is for gold, right? Why not? If it's been set at $42, at least internally in our own calculations for the US, why don't I pick 15,000, 30,000, and eventually it'll maybe get there, right? So there's ways of doing that. And basically all that allows is, hey, we've got more money than we need, or we've got more money that's currently represented by the Fed. So in the supply, so we need to print more dollars. That's kind of really what it means. We'll get more money in the supply, and really what that ends up doing is causing a little bit of inflation and things like that, and rates would be able to come down and things like that. But so that's this whole thing is kind of okay. Now we're building the story about, we can change the price of gold. We could essentially make money out of thin air that way, because we do have quite a bit of money in our reserve, quite a bit of gold in our reserves. So there's that talk that's going on. They haven't picked a price or something like that, but there's been talk about like, hey, this is one of the ways that we can make some more money in the US is just by revaluing what we have. Because right now, $42 an ounce is very low compared to what the spot price has been. So there's an opportunity there. There's some money there. It's basically like paper gains, essentially, that we haven't really realized or anything like that. So that's one of the things that we're doing.
I was looking right now. Let me see if I can share my screen because this one is from 2024, which is maybe not as accurate, but I'm surprised also to see that Mexico is on one of the big ones. But compared to Asia, China, look at China, man. It's like it's almost everything that we are doing over here, right? Like, and again, it's Australia is also an interesting, and then you have Russia. So I think that my worry here is that we don't have a lot of power to be able to move the price. So I think that maybe here it might be getting tied to Bitcoin because Bitcoin we actually are becoming kind of the epicenter. So did they say anything about that?
Yeah, so that's a really good point. Like when you look at the whole pie, we see that our slice is not necessarily that big. But something that we have seen, and the government, the U.S. government has recognized, this new administration is like, wait a minute, well, maybe a gold, we don't have that big of a slice of the pie, but in Bitcoin, compared to the rest of the world, it's kind of the epicenter here, right? So we have a competitive advantage there. So what we have seen, right, this administration back in March of 2025, earlier this year, uh, there was a signed executive order, uh, basically saying we're going to create a strategic Bitcoin reserve. So similar to how we have a reserve of gold,
Hmm.
we're going to do that for Bitcoin. So again, we've covered this on the podcast before, but now we're kind of building the story. Okay, we've got the reserves of gold, we got the reserves of Bitcoin that we're trying to build. And again, at this point, all we've done is saying, hey, we're just not going to sell the Bitcoin that we have within the government. We're going to hold on to it. Previous administration was trying to do a fire sale on it, which was like kind of backwards thinking. I don't think they saw the big picture of this. Um, but with this strategic Bitcoin reserve in place, this gives the US government some flexibility into like, okay, well, let's set this up in a way so that we can profit from it, or basically help get rid of some of the debt that we do have. Now, along with Bitcoin uh, in one of the executive orders and in the Genius Act, they did say it's not just Bitcoin necessarily, it's other cryptos, but then also kind of interesting, they also mentioned stable coins. So they have a plan for stable coins as well.
I
Um,
This reminds me though, because I have two daughters. Uh, I have been kind of coaching them and teaching them to have wealth, right? And I was trying to identify what is the most simplistic rule that you can tell someone. And one of their question was like, "Hey, how do you become rich?" And something that just came up very quickly in my mind for me to be able to explain them, it was, you just get assets. Like literally, that's how you get rich is just by getting assets. And I know that maybe some of the audience might not know, but an asset is kind of a loaded word to say that anything that you have control that it will appreciate or generate future benefit. And this could be, in this case, gold. This could be Bitcoin. This could be a stock market. This could be a real estate house. For sure, it's not going to be your consumables, like unless they are like a painting, right? Like Picasso or whatever that might have a
mhm.
lot of value, right? But it's just similar here. We, as a country, we wanted to continue to be rich by evaluating our assets that we currently have, and in fact, maybe even acquire more assets.
Yeah, that's a great point. So, I mean, that's really what the government at this point is beginning to kind of play with. In the same way that we as individuals try to gain wealth, the government is trying to do it this in a similar way. Is like, let's leverage our assets in a way that benefits us, right? Like as consumers, we do refis. Like we can do a house refi, or we can try to get a lower rate on a mortgage. Cars aren't necessarily the best asset. It's still an asset, but they're normally considered depreciating assets unless you've got some kind of collectible or like a Cybertruck, something like that. I don't
First
know. That's still
edition.
depreciating right there.
That shit is already depreciated 50%, man.
So sometimes you take a shot and it doesn't work. But in any case, this is what the Russian uh, analyst has basically said is like, hey, the US government's up to something. They're trying to figure out how to get rid of their debt, the $37 trillion debt. And the thing is, the rest of the world owns like US bonds and stuff like that. So they've basically supplied the money that we've got to pay back, right?
Mhm.
So what turns out, it's like they're calling this the crypto check. It's Trump's crypto check is what Russia has basically said, and they're saying that the President Trump he's publicly now kind of again in bits and pieces, but you start
Mhm.
piecing things together, saying that they're floating the idea of using Bitcoin or a crypto check, right? Stable coins, whatever it is, other cryptos, to help pay off the $35 trillion in national debt. So basically, you would basically, you could be slowly siphoning the
Mm,
value of the dollar and essentially moving it, shifting it into Bitcoin, right? And they're worried because they hold essentially the mortgages, or they hold like what uh, the bonds that represent this $35 trillion. So if the value of those bonds become worthless, then they're, they're left holding the bag. They didn't get the value they were hoping to get, and along the way, the U.S. has moved on to Bitcoin, and then again, and then they set themselves up. They have the biggest slice of Bitcoin, and everyone else has to again play catch up, right? Because right
mhm.
now, U.S. dollars world currency. It's been slowly, maybe kind of diminishing in that sense, but still is. I think the U.S. is trying to get ahead of it, and perhaps trying to get turn that into Bitcoin.
I I think that sometimes we don't give enough credit to the current administration, right? And again, this is not a politics podcast, but this one is not even a move from the administration; it's the people around that is advising the administration, because previous presidents, right? Why they didn't do this, right? This one seemed to be very obvious things. Like we do it at our level, right? Like at home, you try to to cut your costs. At home, you're trying to reduce your debt. You're trying to make more money, right? You try to refinance if you see better interest rates. So I feel that they are going to the basics, which is great. It's just in the macro economy, which is hard to convince everyone. So I think that the administration, and right now maybe the credit, it might be Trump, right? Like he's getting the credit, but there is a lot of smart people around him, right? That is like advising, hey, you should do this, you should do that, right? So kudos for the people if they are able to pull it off. Makes sense to me. I haven't heard anything that doesn't make sense. The part that it will be worry for Russia or China that they, as you say, they have the part of the debt. I don't think that will be bad for them because it's like, hey, the value is here. It's not like we're just disappearing it, right? We still have the gold. If you want, like, we can give you gold. That might not happen, but at the end of the day, it's like the value is here with Bitcoin and gold. So that's probably how maybe U.S. government will try to convince everybody that no, the value is here. It's just we did not appreciate this. It used to be $42, which is we know that is not the price. So we'll see. I am curious how this will develop, which maybe that's the reason why the price it went up, because I was trying to figure out this week why it went up, right? Like it was very flat, and so the boom, 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 start catching up to 115, 116.
Yeah, that's true. I think a lot of people are banking on what the Fed's going to end up saying this coming week. People are anticipating rates are going to lower, which of course frees up money, frees up supply, and lets people really invest more. They got money to invest. A lot of people are investing in Bitcoin. Bitcoin is going to benefit from lower rates and freer money supply, and money supply getting bigger. But to your point about, like, there's a lot of people that have been championing a lot of this stuff. I know Senator Lummis, she's one of the big ones. She's the one that helped put together the bill for the strategic reserve. And this administration is not scared to kind of reach out to private industry and get their take on things. Michael Saylor, I'm sure, has been involved with a lot of things. He's been a champion for Bitcoin for a lot of this. So they're putting their heads together, try to come up with a plan. And so Russia here is trying to be like is trying to be like, hey, world, I don't know if you guys are paying attention to what they're doing over there in the US, but something's fishy. We're gonna get left holding the bag here. We need to do something ourselves, right? So let me the Anton Kobyakov was the person that was saying this at the Eastern Economic Forum, the financial analyst, part of Putin's administration over there. This was just on September 9th, so it was just a few days ago. And he's basically saying, hey, the US is orchestrating a scheme to offload its $35 trillion national debt by leveraging cryptocurrencies and gold. So it was very succinct. He kind of said it, and that's really, it seems like if you start putting all these pieces together, what is going on? So Kobyakov, again, he's claiming that Washington aims to rewrite the rules of these markets to position themselves as alternatives addressing declining trust in the dollar. So again, everyone's been working under the rules that US is the reserve currency. Things could be changing, right? Maybe it's moving towards crypto, into Bitcoin specifically. And I it's a feasible plan. That's a thing. They're seeing it happen. We're seeing bits and pieces of it. It could be working. Now, the stable coin is one of the pieces that we really haven't talked too much about. But basically, they're saying that by having stable coins in the last Genius Hack, they basically said that we've been promoting stable coins, digital assets that are pegged to the US dollar. So should be like 1-to-1 value, right? $1, one stable coin. And in the Genius Act, like I mentioned, they're going to be required to be backed by U.S. Treasuries. So if you're a company, if you're a stablecoin company, you have to use treasuries, U.S. Treasuries, to back your. That way, you don't get into the point where you just have paper money and companies go bankrupt. So that is a big thing. And basically, the big deal about that is that the U.S. Treasuries, those Treasury bills, are ways that the U.S. kind of finances their debt and things like that. So if they have a guaranteed buyer for U.S. Treasury bills, that guarantees the U.S. Can have lower rates on their T-bills, so they're not paying, high amounts to pay back their loans, essentially. So that's good for the U.S. So all of this is coming together. There's a lot of things that again, right now, this is kind of conspiracy theory from the Russia side or from the world side, but you could kind of see how this could actually be going on.
Yeah, there are ideas though. It's like Russia, China, and India. They say, okay, let's partner up because this is nothing new, right? They even created, if you remember, BRICS. That shit fizzle away. Are you gonna put your savings in BRICS?
I want to go to the moon. I don't want to sink to the bottom of the ocean.
So it's like probably will be like a brick, right? It will just like sink. So I feel that even themselves like shit, this thing didn't work. Duh. I mean, they don't even trust their own currency, their own people, their own right, like the government. So the idea of the Constitution of America, the reason why I live here, right, is because of that, right? So the idea that in this case the bonds, that debt to be able to finance the American dream, that's what it is. It's financing the American dream, right? And the whole planet is investing on that. I think that is a good move for the government. What it's doing, also I understand why other countries are nervous, like shit, like are these guys are gonna just do a scheme like smoking mirrors, like disappear.
Yeah.
I think that it's just a promise. If they go back to truly think what it is, it's just we're gonna pay you, right? Like we and our kids and our
We're the Lannisters. A Lannister always pays their debts, right?
exactly. So far so good, right? So and I think that maybe that's what we're trying to see is like, hey, trying to figure out how we're gonna be able to repay everybody to keep that ideal. If not, this experiment will fail. And it's like shit. I don't want to go back to different other experiments.
That's true. Well, moving on. So hopefully you guys enjoy that. Right now is a good time. Hey, if you enjoyed that content, like and subscribe. All right. We do need the help. Moving on to the next thing. And this guy, Stephen Thomas, is probably freaking out because he knows Bitcoin's about to moon. If that's really the plan, if that's really the plan of the U.S. government, he's going to be stuck out. So, Stephen Thomas, who's this guy, Mando? You mentioned it. You mentioned him to me.
Dude, that was an interesting thing, right? Talking about Bitcoin. In 2011, this guy had they paid him to do a video with the foundation on Bitcoin to do what is Bitcoin, and they in that time they wanted to pay him about $2,000. So, which basically in that time the price of Bitcoin equivalent to 7,002 bitcoins. So
That's not a
man,
bad payment now. I mean, think about it.
in
For a video.
the price right now is close to 777 millions. So it's like close to a billion there, right? So hear this out. The guy used a key, and it's called the iron key, right? And he put the key, the password or the passkey in a paper. He forgot about it. And you can say,
Should have
well,
just left it on Coinbase, right?
it's basically shit, right? It's like, it's funny that some of these guys like, yeah, let's do it super secure and blah blah, only with my blood, like. And shit, they forget the most obvious thing, right? The password. So the problem with this iron key is that it's super secure, that only you have 10 chances. If not, it will almost like self-destruct, like Mission Impossible.
Dun, 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 dun. Okay.
So all right, so he only has 2 chances. He has been trying to say, oh shit, I'm gonna
He's only got 2 chances left.
So 2 chances left. So it has been a lot of years, right? And now technology has moved forward, right? And he's partnering it up with a couple cyber security companies, and we don't know yet. And I don't think that they're gonna make it public, to be honest, when they unlock it. But what they said that they're gonna try to do is that they are gonna try to remove the check, so that way they can just kind of crack it, because right now they cannot crack it because they only have 2 chances, right? In computer science they call it brute force. They just have brute forcing, and you can try that with a regular lock, right? It's just a combination of all of the different options.
All the combinations, right?
But in this case, I mean, it still could be a lot of. Hopefully, maybe the guy still remembers certain words, and he just need to. The combinatory might be on the thousands, but yeah, if not, it's gonna be in the trillions of options, right? If he completely forgot a few words, which from 2011, maybe he forgot some of the words. But yeah, what do you think about it?
I mean, it's really interesting, and here's the thing that makes your stomach turn like even more is like, as time goes on, not only is he losing chances, but it's growing in value. So it's like at one point it was just $200 million, just $200 million. Now it's getting close to $1 billion. Imagine Bitcoin doubles; they're talking about $2 billion, and it's just like, oh my goodness. Well, kudos to this company, though. I think I don't know. I'm not sure if you mentioned it. Uncipher. This is one of the companies that's been helping, and I think, like you said, Uncipher was able to, I guess, make it so that you have more than just the 10 chances, right? So now you can just try to brute force it, but still, that's going to be very, very difficult, still to do. What
So
I'm thinking is like, why not just wait? And by the way, they're not trying to they're not trying to break the Bitcoin password. He's trying to
no,
break the password to get into the USB key, right? It's a
yes.
USB key password that he doesn't have, right? So that's really the piece that I'm not sure what kind of encryption they're using. Maybe SHA-256, something like that. I'm not sure, but I'm thinking, you know, why not just wait a little bit? Quantum should be able to break the password that they use on that iron key. You could just wait a little bit longer, see if he can like.
No, man. I have a hacker mentality. What if I'm there, I probably will use unsolder the chipset that has the password. Then I can clone that shit, right? It has the data there. So then you reconstruct the device to be able to use, because the data is there. Unless the algorithm is in that shit, then you are toasted.
All right. So if y'all want us to try this experiment, PCB Ways out there has reached out and they want to sponsor us. Maybe they can send us the hardware for us to give it a try, see how far we can get. How far can Mando get? We got to find an iron key. They still sell these?
Well, probably we can find one in eBay and we can try to do the experiment, right? Just to, I don't know the legalities, right? Like a freaking iron key.
No. We get immunity. This is for educational
For
purposes.
educational, for
entertainment purposes.
it's like the typical disclaimers here for educational purposes.
Oh, so true. Well, the thing is, this is not the only story that's like this. This is just one of the ones. And this guy's been around for a while, right? We've heard this parts of this story before, but it's just, the amount that he's got in there
Yeah,
is
it's
getting bigger and
substantial.
bigger. So
Stefan Thomas, my heart is to you, my friend. Like, shit,
yeah.
yeah.
It makes me nervous every time I hear these stories. Like, oh shit, let me go check my stuff.
It's like if you forgot your password, man.
I know, man.
I have a couple friends though. I'm not gonna dox them here, but they have their password is different people. It's like they don't know their passwords. Like because my friend is a bit paranoid. What about if they like kidnap me and they are trying to find for a ransomware? Even if they torture me,
They can't get it.
they can get it. So imagine if the cousin or the wife, whoever it is, I don't know, he didn't tell me, but forgets the password.
Yeah, right.
Oh shit! Imagine that. It's like super secure. No, even
It's really
they,
hard.
even themselves, they don't even remember the password.
I mean, honestly, it is kind of a hard problem to solve because you could say, well, you need to have personal responsibility and take care of your. But I mean, shit happens, and it's hard to, you got
I,
$1 billion. Is like,
we are pro this industry, right? And I know
Mhm.
that some Bitcoiners will hate us here for what I'm gonna say, but it's like, uh, if you don't trust Coinbase, which for sure don't trust them, right? And you don't trust the certain bankers. There is a point, by the way. I was checking one of my accounts, Infidelity, because I have some retirement account there. They allow now to move Bitcoin. They didn't allow you to have it, so they have wallets now in Fidelity. So if you don't trust Fidelity, which it has, I don't know, maybe 40% of all of the retirement of everybody, tough, tough. If you think that you can be better, uh, holding your own keys and putting, it's like in back on those days where you put the cash on under your mattress. So remember, you have to have the security around to be able for you somebody to not come and steal it, right? I don't know. It's tough. It's a tough one to trust your mattress versus an institution that has, or maybe not put, don't put everything, put a percentage, right? So, like in this guy, if this guy will move 1,000 to a proper a Coinbase and then the rest on his own, tough. And again, this is not a financial advice, right?
Yeah. I mean, hey, maybe you have 5 or 10 of these keys, but then you lose 5 or 10 passwords. It's like it doesn't really help you out that much either.
Nope, no, not
Well,
really.
either way, hopefully he figures it out. I mean, like you said, there's ways you can brute force it. If they really did remove the requirement where you only get 10 chances, well, that at least opens things up for him where he can just try and try and try again. Eventually, he should hit the jackpot. Um, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
tough.
okay. In other news, we've been focusing also on some robot talks on our podcast now. We've got a big player here that recently has said that they're going into humanoids as well. Tell us about this, Mondo. Who do we have coming in here?
Our friend Jack Ma.
Jack Ma.
This guy is the Alibaba founder, and the company, sometimes you might hear it as an Ant Group. So and they are e-commerce mainly, but they create a lot of technology, right? This is like kind of the Amazon over there, right? So
Mhm.
which they came out with a humanoid. So as we said, right, you see all of these billionaires trying to go to space and fill everything with robots, right? And Jack Ma is there. So they came up with this robot, which it seems weird to me that they name it R1, which I think that is the same one as the Unitree uh,
They're
version.
not very creative, are they?
No, not really. So if we come up with ours, we should just call it, I don't know, Z1, right? Like for Gomez and
Z1.
Ramirez. Or G and R1, right?
Yeah, GR1. Like
GR1.
Gomez and Ramirez one. There you
Right.
go.
So
I can see the logo already.
GR1. That's funny. Uh, but yeah, it's like weird. It's just scientists. Come on, guys, get out better names instead of GPT and.
Okay. Well, okay. I think they did actually. R1 stands for Robbie Ant. Robbie
Well, I
Ant.
guess.
I don't know that that's any better, but
Yeah.
it is what it is. But their goal or their plan here was to actually um, put up like some competition or have a direct challenge to Tesla's Optimus. Optimus is a cool name. They did
Optimus
pretty
is
good with that
they,
name.
yeah, that one is like I don't know
Tesla.
how they Mattel, not sure who owns the Transformers
Oh, right.
brand, how they didn't get sued, you know.
That's a good point.
Or probably they did and they settled. I think that that's what happened with Apple. I think that Cisco owned the iPhone, and I said, no,
Mm.
we're gonna use it, sue us, and probably they settled. I will have to find out what happened there on that lawsuit, but similar here, right? Like maybe Tesla is like, nope, I'm gonna use it. So going back to China's, I it's always nice when now you have a different country, different culture, different ideals, also competing. It's ultimately is always competition is great, right? And what the use cases that they were going after, it's medical and culinary skills, like kitchen skills. So maybe you might be able to make your eggs, right?
That's
Scramble
what I'm
eggs.
hoping. Hopefully, it can handle my eggs all right. So
What
through
about
it,
if it's
I'm
only
really
dumplings?
dumplings, eggs, tomato, whatever you want to call them, but just don't break them.
That's right. That's right. So, uh,
Yeah, no, but it's interesting. How did they settle on these two? Like cooking and what do they mean by like medical,
I
like
was looking.
CPR or
No, I
something?
was looking a little bit more, and they actually pharmacists to be able to have
Oh,
a. It takes a lot of dexterity on the hands to be able to do things like that. Um, in my mind, it's great. It's great that they are doing this. Probably they hopefully they provide some open source, right? So I'm starting seeing to pop up more open source projects for robotics.
hmm
So, but it's still very almost like a magic, like companies are not trying to. They're hiding a lot. I feel that ultimately there is going to be a company that comes back similar what Tesla did. It's like, hey, this is going to be the standard just for free. You don't have to pay us on the patents. It's not for the benefit of their heart. It's because they truly believe that in order to just make everything ubiquitous. I like that word, by the way, right? Like it's a fun word to say in English, but also the meaning is just deeply on my beliefs. It's just everybody uses, right? In order for everybody to use it, EVs, then you need that infrastructure. Similar here, for everybody to have robots in their houses, there has to be some SDK, some protocols, things underneath that will allow us to have that.
yeah. Well, these humanoid robotics again, they're very hot right now. We just saw the World Robotic Games where Unity kind of was a winner. But we're starting to see really a lot of these Chinese companies they're really really pushing hard, and from what we saw, Unitree seems to be like in the lead. But I'm sure with people changing, moving back and forth between different companies and things like that, at least in like in China, they're all gonna catch up pretty quick. They're all gonna be able to uh, have very high quality robots out here. So I'm curious to see Optimus out in the wild. I know they've done some things where they show the demos of serving popcorn and things like that at the Tesla diner.
Compared to
Okay,
making dumplings.
cool. But like, yeah, I wanted to be able to handle my eggs and dumplings. Like, I don't know if I can trust it that
It's like,
quick.
here's
So
popcorn. Well,
but then again, China's been doing a very big push. They've been investing a lot into this, right? Over $100 billion, where they have a fund that's dedicated to helping these companies develop their robotics and things. So It's very, very interesting times, especially, with where AI is and how it's going to intersect. It's giving the AI basically a body to be able to actually work out in the real world. That'd be
Yeah.
very cool.
This is for sure a global race, right? For humanoids, who is ever gonna try to get that leadership on accelerating this, and you see these major players, the same companies, in this case Alibaba, right, Tesla, and then Unitree, as we saw it. So it's pushing the boundaries, though, and the world is changing, and it's exciting.
Yeah, it'll be a big industry. 38 billion. They're thinking by 2035, so just another 10 years. I think we'll start seeing a lot of robots in people's homes eventually. You'll probably see one in ours. I know Mando's already shown you his dog.
Dog.
What do you call your robo dog? Do you have a
I'm
name
gonna
for him yet?
D1 is just dog.
Okay, D1 dog. Okay,
It's like,
uh,
I think that maybe that's the reason why they do
okay,
it. I
dog.
just I just discovered it like right now. Like, ah, fuck it, whatever. D1.
D1. There you go, D1 dog.
So we'll see how
It's
many
the
versions.
GRD1.
Oh shit, that's a good one.
Yeah. All right. Well, we certainly have plans to see how this kind of turns out, how robots can improve our daily lives. What are the use cases that really make sense for us? Right now we got Roombas. Mop the floors, sweep the floors, things like that. There's some lawn bots out there, hit and miss there. What else can they really do? So that's where we're going to start digging into as well.
Yep, for sure.
All right. Well, hopefully you like the content today. Like, subscribe, comment. Check out our big videos. We've been getting a lot of views on our Jenny Hoyos video. Also check out our Bitcoin videos and let us know how you're liking our new series. Mondo's been working on this robotic series and showing you guys kind of some of the behind the scenes stuff that's going on. I know PCB Ways out there is trying to get us on board, so we're working with them potentially. But also, if you got your Cybertruck and you want to buy something from them, check out those sponsors. We've got codes on our YouTube channel,
Tex-Mex 22, baby.
Tech-Mex 22. Check those out. We do like the purchases. It helps us fund the channel and kind of keep things going smoothly here. So that's all we got for today. We'll see y'all next time. Thanks and gig 'em.
Bye.
Dale.